Welcome to Q's Health and Wellness Podcast. This is your host, Quinn Mitchell, and today I have a very special guest, Dillan Foss, is an online fitness coach and the owner of Limitless Theory. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Can't complain. Just got back from the gym, and it's beautiful out here. So Super Bowl Sunday.
Yes, sir. So, would you mind giving a brief introduction about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So like Quinn had mentioned, I am Dillan Foss. I'm the owner of Limitless Theory, and essentially that is my personal and brand and company. And essentially, it is encompassing three different things: fitness, nutrition, and the economic or financial aspect of making money work for you instead of spending your time slaving over trying to get the next paycheck.
Mm,
So I work with a multitude of different professionals, different areas. I am a certified athletic trainer, a certified personal trainer, and I'm on board to get my licensed or nutrition license in the state of Florida. I just got my master's degree in
oh,
nutrition
wow.
for human performance. So
Congratulations.
thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Yes, yes, sir. So what basically got you started on this fitness journey when you become a fitness trainer?
So I played basketball. I played football. I played baseball. I played hockey growing up. I just did everything active.
Mm-hmm.
And I had older siblings, and I was actually interested in going to school for nursing when I first wanted to go to college. And then I quickly realized I didn't want to do that. So I ended up doing a basic health sciences major my first year of college. And being a college athlete, I worked very closely with athletic trainers and basically saw that that was the route that I wanted to go down. So I transferred to a school that would put me in a position to get my athletic training degree. And that was LaSalle University. I went there, did my 4 years while playing basketball, graduated from there. And while I was there, I came across an awesome group of professionals and people that allowed me to learn more about nutrition and finance and business and all of those things. So that quickly became a part of my philosophy as well. Like there's a lot more to working out and being an athlete and performing at your optimal level than just like physical health. It comes down to nutritional health, emotional health, financial wealth, all those things. So that's how I got started, and I just kind of kept the ball rolling.
Now, speaking on it, before we start this podcast, I know we talked briefly about that you're currently on a fast right now,
Right.
and a lot of people might not be familiar with the benefits that come with it. So, would you mind just going over that briefly?
Yeah, for sure. So right now, Panther and I, we did a 5-day fast to start the year. If you don't know Panther, definitely look him up. I'm sure Quinn can link that down below.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Panther and I did a 5-day fast to start the year. It's something that I started doing at the beginning of 2018 was sorry, the beginning of 2019 was fasting regularly. I would do 24 hours here and there. I would do 16 hours to start, 12 hours even. It depends on what you're comfortable with, but there's so many benefits. And right now, I'm doing a 48-hour fast, and that's what we're going to do at the beginning of every month. So the first and
Mm-hmm.
the second of every month for 2020. Um, Panther does a regular 23-hour fast, maybe even 20 to 23-hour fast every day, which is not what I do. It's different. But we're both looking for the same benefits, which include cellular autophagy, which is essentially um, stimulated cell death. So any cells that have any sort of mutation that are living off of some sort of sugar or bacteria in your body that is toxic, and they need that to survive. When they don't get that because you are putting them in a fasted state, right? You're not giving anything to them but water. They have no choice but to basically program their own death. And that gets rid of toxins, that gets rid of bad cells. Bad cells mutate, you get cancer, you get disease, you get acidity in the body, you get inflammation, all of those things. So it's anti-inflammatory. It helps you control like your leptin and ghrelin, which are basically your hunger and full, like I'm hungry and I'm full kind of hormones. Insulin levels, so it's good for people with diabetes as well. There's tons of amazing benefits, and I'm definitely reaping some of them, and I've seen some good results. So,
Nah, that's awesome, man. And based back on your clients, 'cause I know you have some clients that you work with.
yeah,
What are some of the obstacles that you see with them that you see that's common when you often start working with them?
great question. The first thing is like the mentality and understanding that it's not about I'm going to give you an exact plan to follow. I think that's where I differ from a lot of individuals and a lot of people in the realm of health and wellness want to say, you know, like, this is exactly what I want you to do, and it's programmed. But on my end of that, right, there's no leverage from being able to duplicate that. There's no ability to touch more people's lives if I give them each person a 100% customized, this is exactly what you need, you shouldn't do anything but this, and we're going to find the absolute depth from the jump. That's like, it's so hard to find. There's so many cofactors that go into health and wellness, right? So the biggest thing that I see is people just getting to the understanding of like, okay, I need to educate myself, right? Like in the athletic training realm, it's considered like passive stretching versus active stretching. You know, an athlete that sits there and gets like active rehab done is going to see far better benefits than someone who just sits there passively on the table. They have no, like, they're sitting there on their phone. They're not giving the athletic trainer or the physical therapist any sort of assistance. They're not being mindful of what they're actually going through. I think the same thing applies for nutrition, right? You have to be the desire to be educated and learn more about what it is and what's going to work for you and your lifestyle, your family, and based off of your genetics, and understanding that, you know, just because you desire to eat that doesn't mean that it's going to benefit you.
No, I'm glad that you brought that up because I know a lot of people do a lot of research out there when it comes to dieting and nutrition, and a lot of the stuff that they see is false information. And a lot of times they don't know any better, so they adopt the new habits and they come to you and they say, "Oh, well, I've been doing this for so long," and it's like, "Well, you're doing the wrong thing." So how can you what should I say, gauge people into knowing what's right versus the other bullshit that's out in the world?
So I always like to think about bringing perspective and bringing freedom. Those are like the two things that I like to focus on, whether it's with nutrition, whether it's with fitness, or whether it's with finances, right? Bringing perspective to like, how is that on a broad spectrum scale? So if you have someone who's coming to you with like, I heard this, it's like, okay, well, let's ask some questions on why that may or may not be true. And how is that going to play out in the long run? Those kinds of questions, really asking them questions so that they can give themselves the answers that they're always looking for, right? You want to lead them to the answers that they know subconsciously, but they just don't get themselves to say out loud. And on top of that, it's a matter of sitting there and continuing to educate them and saying, well, if that is the case, then that would mean that this is also true. Kind of playing like a if-then scenarios, and those really help people see like, okay, that I get you. It makes things click, right? They connect the dots.
Now, I just want to talk about this story because I know you appeared that I worked out one time, and we was in Rhode Island, and I strictly remember like you had us doing this breathing exercise, and a lot of people use like breathe from within, but it's like when you had me doing it, I didn't really see like the benefits from it until it was after the fact when I started doing my games, and I was take that moment in pregame, and I would implement that to my pregame routine. And would you mind just telling the listener just about what that actually did and what that actually is? Because to me personally, I can't really explain it to what it is, but I just knew that it just brought me into a zone that, okay, I was ready to go handle the task at hand.
For sure. Breathing is, so if you think about, we have two things to do as humans, right? One is to survive. The other is to reproduce, right? survival is going to take precedent on everything, because if you don't survive, you can't reproduce, right? So survival is the number one way to really influence your body, whether it's any sort of system in your body. There's 11, systems in our body, from our integumentary, our skin, our endocrine, from our hormones, our breathing, our respiratory, our heart, our cardiovascular, all of these different systems. The fastest way to influence them is to put yourself in that survival mode, right? It's fight or flight. And then you have rest and digest. Those are the two we call sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. And your nervous system is what is taking in outside and inside information and creating a change in your brain, right? So you have five senses. You have your taste, your smell, all of those things. When you take that information in, it tells your body what to do as a result, right? Like you feel unbalanced on your right foot, it tells your body, okay, send that message to the foot to get back flat so you don't roll your ankle. We don't see how like in depth those things get. Most of it's just like, all right, yeah, whatever. It's just kind of happening. But when you talk about survival and how those things play out, there's three ways to influence your nervous system and to get it into one of those sympathetic or parasympathetic nervous system states. And those three things are what we need to survive. So the first one is oxygen, the second one is water, and the third one is food, right? So like I can fast without food, right? And I do fine. If you do a dry fast, it's even more beneficial, right? So I can fast without water and I can be fine. But after a certain period of time, like no go, you're done, right? You're not going to survive. After, a month of food, you're not going to survive. After, a week of water, you're not going to survive. After so long without breath, you're not going to survive. But all of those things, taking those things away, puts your body in a state of stress that allows it to adapt, get stronger and better. So when we talk about breathing, we're talking about trying to make our nervous system adapt and be better in these uncomfortable situations. So when I tell people like, all right, I want you to inhale for 3 seconds and then I want you to exhale for 3 seconds, people struggle with that. And that's crazy to believe. Like that's very beginner, right? It's like 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3. Now, when you start to add in like, okay, let's breathe in for 3, let's breathe out for 3, and then hold your breath for 3 seconds, like going underwater, right? You get into that nervous state. You're like, oh my God, I got to breathe. I got to breathe. I got to breathe. You get mad nervous. Being able to control that is being able to control your nervous system. So when you get into a nervous or an uncomfortable situation, you're in more control. And that's performance, right? That's athletics. When you're playing basketball, everything is unprecedented. You may have taken that jump shot 1,000 times, but that jump shot wasn't at the end of the game. It wasn't against the same defender. It wasn't in the same exact position. The ball was in a different position in your hand. You played a different amount of minutes leading up to it, so your legs are a little more fatigued than before. All those things play out, but your ability to be comfortable in those situations is how you perform at like an optimal level. So the breathing comes down to, I would say basically I call LT33 breathing is the most basic one. Breathe in through your nose for 3 seconds, breathe out through your mouth for 3 seconds, and then hold your breath for 3 seconds. From there, you can transition to 4x4, which is what the Marines use, and they teach the Marines in the U.S. military. Is 4 seconds in, 4 second hold, 4 seconds out, 4 second hold, and call it box breathing. So those are two different things that anybody that's looking to really like focus on meditative breathing or just becoming more conscious of that stuff to utilize.
Yeah, so like I said, that definitely worked myself because like I said, pregame, I would do that breathing exercise, and then you're literally in a whole different zone than everybody else. Everything just slows down, and you just see everything. You just have that one tunnel vision.
Hell yeah, I love that. I'm glad you use that, man. I have a lot of clients. I teach that to all my personal training clients. And most of them, especially like younger people our age, there's a lot of people dealing with anxiety, right? And that anxiety is just being nervous. That's all it is. Anxiousness is just nervousness in uncomfortable situations. So
Mhm.
I teach people that, and they're like, man, anytime I get mad or anytime I get into like an anxious state, I do that and I'm fine. I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
it's just how it is, how it
Yes,
works.
sir. Now, being a business owner, and having multiple clients and having to juggle around everything, how do you personally balance out your personal life and then your fitness life? Like, because a lot of people can't find that balance where they have work, school. Some people have kids, so it's like they're always struggling to find that time. So, how do you personally do it, being a business owner?
So a lot of it is mindset. And I actually put something out like last week talking about like I drilled my core values and my like 5 and 10 year visions into my head so much that when I wake up, I know why I'm doing everything. I know why I want to do that stuff. And part of it is just self-awareness. You got to continue to grow internally and like mentally and see like, is this really what I want? Are these the people that I really want to be around? Is this a skill set that's really going to help me get to where I want to be in 10 years? And putting everything into perspective like that. Other than that, man, it comes down to daily choices that we make in terms of the environment we put ourselves in, right? If you put yourself in a toxic environment, you're just not going to want to be there. You're going to be in a place that doesn't make you happy, and that makes you not be mentally, able to stay balanced, right? Two is nutrition, right? Food. What I'm eating is literally becoming who I am. So if I eat stressful food and that puts, stress on my body, whether it's on my skin or whether it's on my gut or whether it's on my joints because they're inflamed, that food affects your clarity and your way of life mentally and physically. If you're not, if you wake up super sore, you're not always super happy, right?
Mhm.
If you wake up and you're like mentally foggy, like hungover, you're definitely not going to be as happy or productive that day.
Mhm.
So just being self-aware of those things, and then staying physically active for serotonin and dopamine releases, and those are literally, the same hormones that get released when you do drugs and you get that high. All right, so why not just exercise and get that high so that I can be mentally clear and feel good about myself for the rest of the
Yeah.
day. um, Meditating, um, even just putting on like meditative music before bed,
Mhm.
using things like essential oils, having real ass conversations is probably the number one that doesn't get talked about enough.
Mhm.
I would say conversations like this where we're actually trying to like get something out of somebody and get people to actually connect and talk.
Mhm.
Because so much of what we do on a daily basis, because it's so quick nowadays, we're into the next place, you're just texting somebody.
Mhm.
It's that lack of connection. I think that's a big one, especially sitting down and having food with people and like
Yeah.
just conversing and not being attached to something for a short period of time from like a technological standpoint.
Mhm.
That's all the stuff that helps me for sure.
Yeah. So like I said, I definitely might have to bring you on for part two because there's so many
Yeah,
other questions I want to ask.
for sure.
But something that my listeners that they really wonder about is like you spoke about the nutrition.
Mm.
What foods to eat and what foods not to eat, because sometimes you're running late, you might just go grab some McDonald's, or you might just, or if you're on a diet, say let's say, and you're trying to lose weight, you might say, okay, I might just go sneak this one cookie in real quick, but they don't really understand the effects that has on their body,
Correct.
and they don't really have the knowledge to really sit down and look and be like, okay, if I do this, then it's really going to affect me this way. So I'd rather just
Mhm.
wait and hold it off. So could you just briefly speak on that, and how the different types of foods affect your body?
Yeah, so I mean, everything is fuel. Food is our fuel. I think a lot of people don't understand the importance of real whole foods and how our body, we think of it as hunger, like, oh, I'm hungry, but that's really a lack of nutrients. So when you don't have nutrients, your body sends a response to your brain. Your gut sends a response to your brain and says, "Hey, I'm lacking this nutrient. I want you to release this hormone called ghrelin, and ghrelin's going to tell me mentally that I'm hungry and I need to go search out food in order to survive.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have those hunger responses, think of it as, okay, I need nutrients, not I need food.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, it's the same thing. Like when you have pain, people take like ibuprofen and they're, I can't sleep. All right, I'm going to just, take this, that, and the next. It's like, your body doesn't have an ibuprofen deficiency. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you're not deficient in ibuprofen.
Mm-hmm.
You're deficient in some vitamin or mineral, or you have too much inflammation. You have too much of something or not enough.
Mm-hmm.
So food in and of itself, you want whole foods, eat fruits, eat vegetables, keep these things in your house, because what you have at your disposal when you need to have something quick, you need to be able to grab something that's going to benefit you, not something that's going to put you on a different direction. But in that same token, look at every chance that you eat as an opportunity to fight disease or to create disease,
Mm-hmm.
right? I can either fight illness with a meal, or I can simply, by having a drink and a super like inflammatory meal, I'm just setting myself up to do it again, because now my brain's in an inflammatory state. I'm not as mentally clear. And now that's going to affect my decision making on the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So eat whole foods, man. Fruits, veggies, eat your protein, get a lot of fiber in. Those
Mm-hmm.
things are going to make a huge, huge, huge difference over a long period of time. And, you know, other than that, there's a couple of resources that I could definitely put people on to, tls.com, nutrimetrics.com. There's free video resources that will walk you through kind of the importance of what kinds of foods, all the hormones that play into it. How to read a nutrition label is probably one of my favorites and one of my clients' favorites,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Just understanding that before you buy anything or eat anything, turn it around and see what is on the nutrition label for ingredients, not necessarily looking at the proteins, carbs, fats, sugars, but look at the actual ingredients, and that will set you apart, for sure, and make you make better decisions.
I definitely appreciate that.
Of course.
So what is so before I let you go, I just want to
Yeah.
ask you, what is a typical day like for you? Did you have any like special morning routine that you go through? Just
So, okay. Ideally, I'm waking up so I wake up at 5. That's when my alarm goes off every day. Some days I have to get up earlier. Very infrequently am I getting up later, like sometimes on the weekends, but
mm-hmm.
most of the time it's around 5. Um, Monday through Friday, wake up at 5. I like to get like a 5 to 10-minute kind of stretch in the morning. It doesn't happen every morning. Ideally, I want it to. And then from there, I am ideally, once again, trying to get like a 5 to 10-minute meditation in, or working on some breathing exercises. So I get my heart rate up, and then I try to control my heart rate and get myself into a good mental state. Release the dopamine and serotonin a little bit with working out and movement, get the blood flowing, and then really just kind of calm down and say, all right, where do I want to be today? What kind of mental state am I in? That stuff. From there, I go to either the gym for clients, or I go to a private client's house. And essentially, I usually have 2 to 3 clients in the morning, and then I'll have breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
After breakfast, I typically, once again, I have clients. If not, I'm doing admin work for my business or for the gym that I work at. And the afternoon, I have a lot of like older individual personal training clients, like orthopedic injuries. They like a quiet atmosphere. They don't work anymore. They're retired. So they come in the afternoon and do their personal training. Being an athletic trainer, you work a lot with like physical therapy type of scenarios, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to like, personal training. And then at night, I rarely have any like night clients. Once or twice a week, coming home around probably 5 or 6. So I'm literally training from 6 to 6, like 5 days a week, with very minimal time in between. And from there, I'm eating dinner, and I usually stay on like a 12-hour window of eating. So I'll eat around 7 or 8. I'll stop eating around 7 or 8. And then from there, it's like shower, get into podcasts, get into more admin work for the business, and just staying connected with people. I manage a team of 5 business owners as well up in New England and various parts of New England. So that's also expanding down here, and that's part of the reason I moved down to Florida. And then I'm trying to get to bed before 11 and get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. So.
Yes, sir. So what is something that you're most grateful for?
Most grateful for my family, without a doubt. Everything that they've allowed me to do, everything that they've put me in a position to take control of. And, I think part of what drives me and part of what Limitless Theory is understanding that I myself may not be able to do anything and everything under the sun, but I damn well can take a step in that direction by learning a skill or practicing that skill every day. And if I get better at it, I know someone else can step off my shoulders and continue to improve. And in and of that, that's humanity, right? I think that plays out, like my parents being willing to take control and not be the same as their parents allowed me to take a step further, right? And the same thing for my brothers and sisters, and just trying to give back everything I can to my family, for sure.
That's awesome. So somebody's listening, if they want to get in contact with you, would you mind telling them like contact information as well as sharing your podcast information as well?
For sure. So my podcast is the LT360 podcast, capital LT 360, and the emphasis on living a holistic lifestyle. So 360. You can find that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of those places, as well as YouTube. We do a video as well. Instagram, you can find me at dfoss_3. Twitter as well, Facebook, Limitless Theory, Dillan Foss, and then website, limitlesstheory.com, limitlesstheory3.com, sorry.
That's awesome. So I'll definitely leave all that information in the link below. But I highly appreciate you coming on the show. And like I said, we definitely got to do a part 2 because I forgot that you played basketball. So we also got to talk about the mindset of athletes and how they should go about that. And like I said, there's a whole bunch of questions that we didn't get to, but I highly appreciate you coming on, my man.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I'd love to have you on mine as well. On the
for sure, we got to make it happen.
All right, for sure. Appreciate you.
Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Peace out.